Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. The theme of this episode is updates only. Yeah, I said I was going to do it like once a week and I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to my guns, okay? Let's get into it. The title of the first story is, Am I the asshole for saying my brother shouldn't have brought his pregnant girlfriend to my wedding and for refusing to let her be in my wedding photos? I got married last weekend. I'm still so pissed off at what my brother did. He took all the attention off of me and my husband. Normally, I don't feel the need to be center of attention, but this was my freaking wedding day. I feel like it's all anyone was talking about during the wedding, and now it's like the main thing any of them even remember from the entire thing. It was a destination wedding within the US, so nothing crazy. We kept the guest list to our families, immediate and extended, as well as closest friends. My parents paid for our immediate family to arrive about 5 days ahead of time. So it was my parents, my sister and I initially, and my brother arriving a few days later. We knew my brother was bringing a date. No big deal. He said he was just bringing a girl from school. He didn't even call her his girlfriend officially. My parents showed up at the airport to pick my brother up, and there he was, hand in hand with an obviously pregnant girl that none of us have ever met. My parents were obviously taken aback. My brother greeted them like everything was normal, according to my mom, and my parents didn't really know what to do or say. Then he just said, "Surprise!" My poor mom almost fainted and claims my dad yelled out, "What the F have you done?" He introduces us to this girl, but doesn't clarify if she's his girlfriend and doesn't give us much info at all, really. It was very weird. It was obvious that she was uncomfortable. She said she wasn't feeling well and needed to go lay down after the flight. So, at dinner, it was just our family as she was resting. We were all awkwardly sitting around the table, eating dinner, barely saying a word. My mom finally says, "Is that your baby?" And by then, we all assumed it was, but my mom needed confirmation. The lack of any real explanation or details from him up until then was just so odd. He admitted it's technically not his baby, but he's in love with her and intends on being a father to the baby anyway. The actual father isn't involved and doesn't want to be. And if they get married, then he can adopt the baby so that he'll legally be the father. She's living with him, and none of us knew this either. He's been her main support person throughout the entire thing. She's 28 weeks, well, 29 now, since this was over a week ago. And I think this was worse than what we had all assumed. So in love with her that he's going to take on the responsibility of her child and marry her, yet we've never even heard of her. He said he has mentioned her quite a few times. Well, maybe he's mentioned her name in passing, not to me, maybe to my parents, but never said he was his girlfriend or that she was pregnant. None of us understand. He's 21, about to graduate college, planning to enter law school, and he's an attractive guy. Why would he do this? My parents, especially my mom, were stressing out about it all weekend long throughout my entire wedding weekend. It was like my wedding became an afterthought. All my parents could talk about was how to make my brother change his mind about this girl. And then, when the wedding photographer was taking family pictures, he wanted her in them. That was really the breaking point for me. She isn't family. None of us knew about their relationship, and we met 2 days prior. She shouldn't be in our official family pictures from my wedding. It's like, forget the bride and groom. Look at random woman hitching herself to my brother. No. I told him no. I refused to let her be in the photos. My mom made me allow her to be in one picture, but said that we don't have to buy that one or put it on display anywhere. It just made my blood boil. Anyway, I don't think he should have brought her. There was no reason to bring her to my wedding, especially without warning. I mean, it's all my side of the family could talk about. And he wasn't even trying to correct them about it not being his baby. He said that because it's awkward for her to have to explain the full scenario to everyone, so he just let people think what they wanted. Because he wouldn't at least say something, everyone was gossiping and wondering about it the whole time. I'm posting this because I'm upset that several friends and even my own mom are telling me I'm overreacting and I just need to accept it. When I told a group of my coworkers about it after the fact, they weren't at my wedding. They agreed with me and thought what my brother did was absolutely insane and rude. I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but I think she's the asshole. I don't think that she should have been in the pictures. That's weird. Obviously, she's not family and they didn't even know her. I mean, if they would have known her for a while and they'd been dating for a while, then that's a different story. But I feel like they just met. I don't want some random person that I don't even know in my wedding photos. That doesn't have anything to do with her being pregnant or anything. But it's crazy to me that she's so I think she's overreacting. Like, I think she's overreacting. And I also think that her parents are being kind of assholes too. I get that he's young, and it's like, yeah, of course, when you see your kid doing that, you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that, like, but I feel like he's being a really good person and a good boyfriend. And I feel like, if anything, yeah, that would be scary, because having a kid at that age is definitely very scary. But I would be proud of my son if he was like taking on the responsibility to be a father to a kid just because he loves this girl, and he's going to be like step up and be the father because the father doesn't want to be involved and he's willing to be involved. As long as it's not ruining his like future, and he's still going to continue with his studies, and he's going to become a lawyer and stuff, and he's not just like letting her complete his world and he's just revolving his world around her, like in a bad way, in a negative way, then I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I don't know. I'm excited to see what the comments are saying, because I almost feel like everyone's going to be disagreeing with me, but I'm not really sure. Okay. These are obviously like copied and pasted from the original post, because this is in Best of Reddit or updates. And the commenter said, yeah, this is a wild story, and your brother was absolutely in the wrong. He should have definitely explained who he was bringing and what the circumstances were. OOP said he had months to tell us about what was going on. Months. He didn't have to wait and surprise us all on my wedding week. And then the commenter downvoted and said, everyone sucks here. You're being an asshole for emphasizing how your brother ruined your wedding instead of being concerned about how your brother could be ruining his life. It's not like the poor expectant mother wore a white wedding dress and made an announcement at the reception. It's also an asshole move of your brother to spring this major life consequence by surprise on everyone at your wedding. I don't know. Maybe I'm not so concerned because I don't think I would be like upset about this. Maybe that's my take, because yeah, of course your wedding is about you and you want that to be like your day, but also, I don't know. For me, it's just like, yeah, he should have told them, but he didn't. So it's like, I don't know. I'm stressed because I'm like, no, everyone's disagreeing with me, but I don't really see how this is such a big deal. OOP said, oh, I am concerned about him ruining his life. It's almost all my parents could talk about all weekend. We all think he's insane and that this will be a gigantic mistake. In her defense, she seemed very uncomfortable the entire time, and I don't think that she wanted to be there. I think my brother may have forced this on her as well. This commenter said, not the asshole for the fact that you wanted your wedding to be about you, but you're the asshole for the way that you talk about this whole situation. Your brother is a very nice man for wanting to step up in that baby's life, and the way you said that he could pull anyone but chose her like she's a monster or something really made my blood boil. Yes, that's how I felt. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's 21 years old. It's not like she's like a 70-year-old pregnant woman that's like taking advantage of him. I don't know how old she is, but I think that it's very endearing of him. Am I crazy? OOP commented back to that and said, he's 21 years old. He shouldn't be doing this to his life. He didn't get her pregnant. He's an adult. What do you mean he shouldn't be doing this to his life? Being a good person, loving someone that's pregnant, regardless of the fact that they're pregnant, and being willing to step up and be a father figure to a baby. What is wrong with that? I don't see what's wrong with that. The commenter said, doing what to his life? He wanted to step up. That's not a bad thing. He's an adult. He likes her. She wants to keep the baby, so there's nothing you can do. Maybe he knew this would be the reaction of the family, and that's why he didn't tell you about her sooner. It was a very bad move to introduce her at your wedding, though. He can still have an amazing future whilst being a step/adoptive father. Single moms deserve a partner too. That's how I feel. I'm like, if this were the other way around, people would be like, that's so mean of you that you don't want to be a part of his life just because he's a new father, and like the mom doesn't want to be involved. Because the mother would be expected. Men aren't expected to do anything. Men are just expected to go pull some random girl because he's so hot, and he should just go find someone that is good looking and worthy of him. That's just an ick to me. OOP responded to that and said, do I really need to explain the what? He's 21. This decision could affect the entire trajectory of his life. It's like he's cleaning up somebody else's mistake and he's going to suffer because of it. I don't know. That's just not how I feel. The commenter said, a lot of people are being kind of rude to you here, and I don't think that it's warranted. The way your brother went about this was in very bad taste. He should have brought her way in advance to introduce her to the family. But at this point, what's done is done. Move on, forgive your brother, and support his decision to step up to the plate and adopt this baby. I have a good friend who was very pregnant. Her husband filed for divorce and took off. She met a wonderful man who saw her through the last year of her pregnancy and adopted the baby as his own, and they've been married for about 40 years. Thank you. Because finally a man is stepping up to take care of a baby that's not his. I'm gonna reward you for that. OOP said, if he wasn't 21 and still in college, I might feel differently regarding his decision. I wouldn't feel differently about the way we found out, but I might be more supportive in general if circumstances were different. And then she replied to another comment. He's graduating in a few months. He was planning to go to law school immediately following. But now he's hinting that he'll delay that since he'll obviously need to have a full-time job to support a baby. Oh, and she took a leave of absence from school due to her pregnancy, so he'll need to support her while she goes back. He hasn't outright said he's going to delay his plans, but he's dropped several hints. He can't even support himself fully right now. My parents pay for so much of his life, so if they continue to do that, they'll be paying for this girl and her baby too. It's not fair to do to our parents. And then the commenter said, not the asshole. What he did was an asshole move. Though he probably didn't think it through enough to realize all the implications of his actions. He absolutely shouldn't have dropped that bomb at your wedding or at any wedding.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Okay. I agree with that aspect. I understand why you would be upset about that. I personally wouldn't really care, but I'm also not having like a traditional wedding that I'm going to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars on. So I'm not going to be like super upset if that were to happen. Okay, the update is 4.5 months later. I think I might be about to do what I'm assuming very few people come here to do. I'm sharing an update and want to say that in hindsight, I think I was actually the asshole in my situation. You can see my original post on my profile. I think I was riding high on wedding hormones and center of the universe vibes at the time, but I've slowly come down to earth in the many weeks since I last posted. I let my worry about the gossip about my brother and his girlfriend get in the way of me enjoying my day, and there's no way to go back and change it. I also realized that I should have just agreed to do one photo with his girlfriend included. One photo wouldn't have been important, and it didn't have to be considered the official photo of me and my family that I put in my wedding album or hung on the wall. Instead, I chose to be a witch to somebody I was meeting for the first time, and we already felt very uncomfortable. For many weeks after I made my first post, I was sure I was not the asshole. My head has deflated, and I've had a talk with my brother about it. We both came to the conclusion that in our family, we didn't really learn how to have difficult conversations about things that we knew might make somebody else uncomfortable, which is why I couldn't calmly voice my feelings to my brother on my wedding day, and instead I acted like a spoiled child. It's also why instead of having a normal conversation with our parents to let them know that he was dating somebody who was pregnant by somebody else and that he was going to be raising the baby on his own, he panicked and decided to just announce it without actually having to voice it to them at all. And my wedding just so happened to be the first occasion he had to do so. I don't think he meant to hurt me. Several people have asked me about an update on my brother and his girlfriend. Well, she's his wife now. They got married. They're still together, living together. We've gotten to know her a little bit better, and she's not as bad as we all wanted to make her out to be. I think she genuinely loves my brother, and my brother loves her. She just so happened to be pregnant when they met, and they both acknowledged it's a bit unusual. My brother is the type who brings all the stray animals home, so I think we all sort of worried that he just felt bad for her and wanted to help her and protect her. But I think it's more than that. I went to her baby shower. She seems perfectly normal and nice and really crazy about my brother. The baby was finally born at 41 weeks, and of course my brother was there. The baby is several weeks old now. Half the time I forget that the baby isn't actually my brother's baby and isn't actually related to us by blood. After my wedding, my parents started to get more concerned about the whole situation with my brother. My mom became the most judgmental one. My brother talked to our dad and eventually got him to realize that my brother is an adult and he's going to do what he wants to do. Eventually, my dad was like, "You're right, and I'd rather just support you here." My mom could not get on board. She wouldn't let herself even give his girlfriend/wife a chance. She convinced herself that my brother was just being manipulated and taken advantage of by this evil woman. She told everyone that too. So things were sort of tense because I felt somewhat in the middle at this point. But now, my mom has been the only person to babysit since birth. It's like she saw the baby and forgot all about everything, and she's all buddy-buddy with his wife now. I'm shocked that this woman has decided to not completely cut my mom out of the baby's life altogether, but perhaps she's a bigger person than all of us. First thing I have to say is the fact that she was like, oh yeah, my brother's the type of guy to bring home all the stray animals. Not you calling her a stray animal. Like, you were kind of saying that she's a stray animal. That's crazy. But also, this is what pisses me off, is the demonization. The demonizing of women. She's just an evil woman that's taking advantage of this poor boy. Or maybe the guy wants to be with this woman because she's actually a great girl and she just happened to be pregnant, and the dad just happened to not want to be a part of the baby's life. And your son is nice enough to look past that and not let that hinder, as a lot of people would be hindered by that, the way that he felt about her. Instead, he embraced it and decided to step up. Some of OP's comments are downvoted. Geez, did you really just compare a pregnant woman your brother chose to date with stray animals people bring home to rescue from the streets? You really are the asshole, aren't you? Damn. No, actually, that's what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking. OP said, that's not really how I meant it. My brother has a big heart and can't resist helping somebody who he determines is in need. We worried about whether he was genuinely with her because he was in love with her, or if he was with her because he felt bad about her situation and had convinced him he was in love with her. This is how we sort of looked at the situation previously, not currently. I know a lot of single mothers, and I know of a lot of single mothers that have done a great job on their own with uninvolved fathers, and I'm sure this girl could have figured it out. So it's like, that's what's annoying to me. It's like, you're like, she needed him, and he just felt bad for her. Why does that have to be the situation? Like, why does that have to be the case? It doesn't have to be the case. It could just be what it is. He loves her, she loves him, okay? Commenter said, I knew exactly what you meant, and it's not like humans are any better than any other animal. A stray is a stray. Human, canine, feline, doesn't matter. What? That's actually not the case. What? I'm scared. OP said, no, it's the opposite. Animals are better than humans. I don't see animals as inferior to humans, so I really didn't mean it as an insult. I, for one, could only dream of being as beautiful and loyal as a dog. Okay, I'm going to read the comments on the actual post. Those were just like that, what were included from the original post. Okay, the top comment says, I'm stuck on the fact that the brother was taking responsibility for his girlfriend and her child and supporting them when his parents were still paying all his bills. What a mess. Sometimes these updates enabling to an Olympic level of support, or level of sport, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that is crazy, but I don't think that he was like planning on them supporting him. I think he was gonna step up and like take responsibility. Someone said, I jumped to the comments when she said her parents paid for their housing and part of his tuition, because what do you mean he's stepping up when it's his parents' money still funding him? I wonder if mama will also babysit her daughter's children in the future, or if that's just reserved for her golden boy. Maybe by then she'll be too tired. What? Oh my God, whatever. The title of the next story is, my husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male, we'll call him Jim, a week ago after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others who know have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years and for a little while after, before we got together, because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all of that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend. And because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it, despite thinking it was a shitty thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but a kind and friendly person towards me, and I now consider her a friend too. Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself, and has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet, so when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as her plus one. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend. but he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress, nothing inappropriate for the wedding, and with her boyfriend on her arm, who I'll admit is a very handsome guy. Think a Kit Harington type. She's also lost weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked so great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short towards her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kind of rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that, quote, "At least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life," which I thought was so cruel and uncalled for. But I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding, despite the fact that he frankly sounded really bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with and is now completely over Jim. Half update, after getting some PMs from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work, and needless to say, this marriage is over. I'll post a real update when I have everything sorted out. Oh, what the hell? That took a turn. That took a plot twist. And if I thought it would end up like this. Do you guys know that song? It's a good song. Okay, let's read the update. This is 8 days later. Hey everyone, I'm posting this here because I said in my last post that I would update when I was able to. Pretty much the day after my original post, I got some PMs from people suggesting that I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this, and that nothing romantic happened between them that would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, so I used that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it. I've seen him put in his passcode a ton of times, so that wasn't an issue. I didn't find anything in his texts with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he'd used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram, but the dumbass used the same code that he uses to unlock his phone. So I got into that right away. It's his birth year, go figure. And what would you know? I go to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding telling her how beautiful she looked that night, how much he'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled his opportunity to catch up with her, and he was desperate to meet up with her. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more to her later that day. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross. But just think about the kind of stuff that you would read on the Nice Guys subreddit. Misha left him on red, and when I clicked on her account, it appears that she's blocked him. I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has happened between them. I wish that was all. But looking into his other conversations on Instagram, I found out that he's been messaging other girls on there. They seem like aspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations were just him shooting his shot and getting left on red, but others had evolved into flirting, and 2 of them resulted in sexting. And the most embarrassing part of it all, the nudes he was sending to these women weren't even of him. I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs and isn't that well endowed. I think he must have found a man's profile on some adult website and used those pictures, just cropping the face out. These 2 conversations happened in the past 6 months. I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come and pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told them that I knew about the girls he was messaging on Instagram, that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out of here before I started throwing his stuff out onto the street and causing a scene. He started crying and begging me to not kick him out, and he swore that they were just messages and that he would never actually cheat on me, but I don't believe him for a second. And then he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anyone else about what he had done, but I had left the room and started ignoring him by that point. He left with his mom and his brother and is staying there from what I know. I blocked him on everything for the time being, until I'm ready to tell him that I'm seeking annulment. Thankfully, where I'm from, you can get one almost no questions asked as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days, and I've already looked into the process. I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. I'm just so embarrassed that I've wasted over 2 years on this man and that I married him in the first place. I don't feel like I can even talk to people about this. So posting here has helped, and I'd like to thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust has settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that. That is cheating. You did cheat. That is cheating to me. Like, I don't understand how that's not cheating. How is sending nudes? I mean, they weren't of him, but obviously he was intending on sending them of him, but he just wasn't sexy enough for that, I guess. That's cheating. Like, what do you mean? Okay, this is the last update. New update 4 months later. Hello everyone, I just thought I'd give an update to my situation since I still get messages of support on here every week or so. You'll be glad to hear that I was able to get the annulment and I didn't have to go through a messy divorce with Jim. I struck an agreement with him that I wouldn't tell a soul about his cheating or what happened with Misha and would leave him alone forever if he agreed to the annulment and got over it quickly. I did end up sticking to the end of my bargain, but it ended up not mattering because it turns out his brother is quite the gossip and let the cat out of the bag over Christmas after getting into an argument with Jim while drunk. A lot of Jim's family were pissed and asked for the money they contributed to his half of the wedding fund back, and some of our mutual friends have cut contact with him. A couple of our friends plastered everything on Facebook and humiliated him. It was interesting to watch the back and forth between them and Jim, honestly. I lived in our apartment and covered the rent on my own while he lived at his parents' until the lease ended back in January. I'm now living with my dad and I plan to stay here for a while and take things easy. In January, I also tried reaching out to Misha via text, asking if she would like to meet up for coffee to talk about anything. I never got a response directly from her, but a few days later, I got a call from her number and it was her boyfriend on the other end. He said they were both sorry for what had happened to me, and they hoped that I'm doing well, but that Misha thought it was best to cease any contact, as this whole ordeal had made her anxiety and mental health problems spiral and landed her back in therapy. I did ask why she never told me that Jim had messaged her the day after the wedding, and her boyfriend confessed that he advised her not to get involved, and his direct words were, "I'm sorry to sound rude, but it's not her circus." I am a little disappointed that she doesn't want to talk to me, but I get where she's coming from, and I can't force her to do anything. To be honest, I think she's been looking for a way to divorce herself from our hometown and the people she and Jim knew back in high school for a while now. As for me, I'm also in therapy as I want to sort through these feelings and get back to feeling good about myself again, before I even think about entering the dating scene again. I've also been firm about ending friendships with anyone who's taken Jim's side, as I don't want him finding his way into my life again. So far, he stayed away from me and hasn't tried to contact me, although his mom did reach out to me over Christmas to ask if there was any chance I might forgive Jim and take him back, as in her opinion, quote, "You two are just meant to be together." I didn't respond to her, and I've blocked her on pretty much everything now, too. Thank you again for all of your kind words and support. I'm certain leaving that asshole would have been harder for me had I not had hundreds of comments backing me up. You two are just meant to be together. Shut the hell up, Susan.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
The top comment says, "The way her ex-mother-in-law asked OP to take him back made me laugh. It reeks, I can't stand my own son. Please get him out of my house." No, that's so tea. The mother-in-law always asks them to take the guy back. She knows she's got a dud on her hands. Seriously, like, what the hell? I don't understand. It's one of the few am I the asshole tropes that never seems unrealistic because it really do be like that. The title of the next story is, "My girlfriend jokingly asked if we could have a threesome with her best friend. Am I the asshole for being down? Throwaway for obvious reasons. Last night before bed, my girlfriend, 23 female, asked me, 23 male, if I would be down for a threesome with her best friend since high school, 24 female. The two of us had been discussing experimenting in the bedroom for a while. Things haven't necessarily been stale, we just wanted to find some way to mix things up. So it wasn't entirely out of the blue. Now, I was definitely surprised she suggested her friend to be our third, but they're so close, I guess it made sense to me. Her friend and I aren't like best buddies or anything, but it's not like we don't get along. Anyway, I said yes, and she just stared at me speechless for a long time. Eventually she asked, "Are you serious?" "Are you serious?" I responded. "No, I was kidding," she said. I thought it was funny for a moment, but I dared not laugh as it was clear that she did not feel that way. Without another word, she got up and spent the night on the couch. I tried to call her back as she walked out, but she said she would talk to me in the morning. Well, I decided I'd better let her sleep it off, and we would talk as soon as she was ready. The talk that followed wasn't easy. To sum it up, though, she's pissed at me because she thinks I want to F her friend and that I was just way too excited at the idea. I did not see it that way. I thought it was a way to be explorative in our sex life with someone we're both already comfortable with. Is she reading too far into this, or am I the asshole? Well, definitely probably don't ask questions that you don't want to know the answer to, especially in this scenario, because it seems like you're being serious. So it's like yes or no. Because with the other story, when the guy was like, I told her that she wasn't as pretty as my best friend and that my best friend was prettier. I feel like in that scenario, like, just lie. But in this scenario, like, it seems like she's being for real. And I would have been like, I would have said my true answer. I wouldn't have thought like, oh, she's testing me to see if I want to do it or not. Like, sorry, I would be down. I don't know, what do you want from me? That's crazy. That is literally crazy. Like, I would think if my boyfriend came to me and like seriously asked me a question, would you want to do this with me? I would probably think that he was being serious. Like, I don't really understand why I wouldn't think he was being serious. I wouldn't think that he was testing me unless he was like, so, I feel like you can tell when they're joking or when they're not. But clearly this guy took it as a serious question and answered honestly. Okay. I'm actually dying. There's an update and it's 2 days later. Update. I've never posted an update before, so let me know if I'm doing this improperly. But with everything that's happened, I wanted to let you all know. I read as many of the comments as I could, and I do appreciate all the feedback. The general consensus that I saw was, she was testing you and you're an idiot, which I can accept, to be honest. Hindsight is 2020, and I guess I've learned my lesson. We decided we would sit down and talk once we both got home from work last night, and armed with all that I had read, I was prepared to do so. Before that happened, though, the aforementioned friend reached out to me while I was at work. I was blown away to read her message, which said, "Hey, I just felt I should tell you, my girlfriend's name was on FaceTime with me when she asked you about a threesome. I was surprised by your response, but I wanted you to know that I'm interested." Immediately, I thought, this has to be a follow-up test, right? So determined not to fall for that again, I screenshotted the message but didn't respond. When it came to have our talk, I couldn't help but come right out of the gate confronting her with that message from her friend, saying things like, "Why would you test me like this? Can you not trust me?" I was in a fury and not letting her get a word in when she finally cut me off and admitted that she was wrong to ask me about the threesome, but she had not told her friend to say anything to me. I didn't believe her, so she let me go through her phone and make sure. There was nothing. I still don't know how I can believe her or trust her. Messages aren't the only form of communication. But long story short, we broke up. I'm going to be shaken about this for a while. So wild how a relationship I thought was healthy could blow up in my face so quickly. But I guess that's how it is sometimes. Thanks for all your help, Reddit. Yikes. That's really... I wouldn't want to be friends with that girl anymore. Especially if I was just testing him. And then she comes out the gate like that. Oh, no. Relevant top comments. Someone said, "So your ex, unbeknownst to you, had her friend on FaceTime when she asked you that question? Yeah, there's absolutely no trust to be had after that. Thank the friend for letting you know about the FaceTime and then be done with both of them." OP said, "This is exactly where I'm at. Such a weird thing out of left field to do. I've never experienced something like this. Well, 5 months and I'll never get back." Yeah, it's when you ask things like that, you just have to know that things are going to explode after that. If you're not going to like the answer, you're not going to want to be in that relationship anymore, or like things. I just feel like you can't test that's like making a fake account to try to see if your boyfriend will cheat on you. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Because if you have to do that, then you probably know that your boyfriend's going to cheat on you. Commenter 2 said, "It sucks that a stupid joke killed your relationship. It sounds like she's really insecure, and maybe she really did talk to her friend about it, and maybe the friend was a little too eager, and that made her uncomfortable. I think breaking up might have been a little too much, but you definitely need space between each other for a few days. I probably would call her back if you really love her." Commenter 3 said, "You need to take a step back, at least for a little while." And then the top comment on the actual post says, "Relationship tests like this are so stupid, and they will always be stupid. The only thing relationship tests like this are good for is demonstrating that the person doing the testing is entirely too immature to be in a relationship in the first place. And testing people about their sexual interests should absolutely be a relationship ender, especially when it's this kind of entrapment. I often have fantasies about pegging you. Would you want to try that? Sure, sounds fun. I knew it. I knew you were gay." I know. I feel like I would never even be like, well, Actually, I don't know. I just don't really, I wouldn't ask questions like that. It's not like I would be like, would you want to be like polyamorous and invite someone else into our relationship? Because why would I do that? Well, actually, now that I think about it, I probably wouldn't want to date someone that would want to be polyamorous, because if that's the case and in the future they're going to want to be polyamorous, then I don't want to be with them anymore. But I just would never think of asking that question, because to me that's just like so out of the picture. Like, obviously we're not going to do that, and I don't want to do that, so like I'm not going to ask you to do that. But I guess if you were like actually concerned that that's something that they would want to do in the future, then it would make sense to ask. I don't know. I'm trying to compare things and it's just not working out for me. I don't know. Personally, early on in a relationship, I always like to give my girlfriend a Voight-Kampff test to make sure that she's 100% human. I don't know if I even said that word right. This person responded to the top comment that said relationship tests like this are stupid, and said, I agree. Anytime I see an OP with one of these conundrums, it makes me think that the person initiating these tests is just looking for an excuse to break up and make it the other person's fault. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't say that I've never done a test like this, honestly. Not with my current boyfriend, but with past relationships. Yeah, I've definitely done some shit to like cause a fight. But I was also very immature. So that's just proving all of these people's point that you're just immature, because I was so immature that I would just like sometimes want to start a fight, especially if it was a healthy relationship. I probably wouldn't have done that. But since my relationships were all so toxic and unhealthy in the past, I just would keep it going and make it toxic and be like, let's start a fight. I'm used to it, so let's go. The chaos is just normal at this point. They're definitely looking for an argument, that's for sure. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. So I hope that you enjoyed these updates. We love this theme. I love this theme. I love seeing all the updates. It's just nice to have like a conclusion and see, because there's always so many stories where I'm like, I need you to tell me what happens after that. So it's always nice when it's like multiple updates and they have an actual conclusion and you can feel some closure from the story. But that's all I have for you guys today. And I hope that you guys have the best day ever. I love you guys, and please tell me what you thought about these stories. Please leave your comments and concerns below, in the comments below, on whatever platform that you're on. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment. Can you leave a comment on Apple Podcasts? I don't even know if you can, but whatever you can do, leave a comment, because I'm always trying to chat with you guys, and I love you guys. So I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye. See you, sissies. My merch is out. Yeah, but this is it. And this comes in pink, black, and white. If you want to get a little cute piece of merch, go grab one.
Link is in the description to purchase.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.